Zinn's Mowers. On today's video, I'm showing you this 2016 Toro Super Recycler. Yes, it's got that Toro brand engine. I love these engines because of how reliable they are. I bought this on Marketplace the other day because it needed a drive belt and the guy just didn't want to fix it. He's a landscaper or whatnot. I'll show you this belt, how trashy it is. You ain't gonna get no tension on this personal pace with that. I'm going to show you around this deck before we get too far in. These wheels are still in decent shape on both sides, and I always check especially the drive wheels because that's what people seem to be picky about sometimes. These front wheels are okay. And this blade's still got an edge. By the way, guys, this is a magnesium deck and it resists rust. Yeah, that blade's still got an edge. It's decently clean. Of course, I'm going to clean it before I post it for sale again. But anyway, I want to show you the part number for the belt that I ordered. I ordered this Sten's belt from Amazon for about $14.54. That I will tell you. And the Toro part number that this Sten's belt is replacing is Toro part number 115-4669. But anyway, also I'm going to show you the tools I'm using. I have this Robertson bit in my great neck drill. Got this 18-volt drill because we're going to use this Robertson bit to take that cover off for the transmission pulley. And I'm also going to need a socket set because I'm going to have to take the blade off. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into that. We're also going to change the oil in this unit and possibly the air filter if I have to. And I believe I do have an air filter for this unit. So we'll get in here and see what's going on. Okay, so I've started this blade bolt out with a 5/8 socket. Kind of did that off camera because that bolt was torqued on pretty good. And probably just take this off by hand. Then we're going to switch to a 13mm to take this motor mount / belt guard off. I'm just going to set this blade aside. This blade don't look too bad. I'll probably clean it up. And find our 13mm. The reason they use the 13mm bolts on this belt guard is because the bolts that hold this belt guard on, these two belt guards, this belt guard here up front, where my fingers are, and then this big metal belt guard back here. The reason they use two 13mm bolts on here is because the bolts that hold these belt guards on also hold the engine on to the mower platform. Anyway, we're going to start backing these out. The reason I don't have the drill doing this is because I couldn't find the socket extension bit. And probably just back this out by hand. I've had to start these bolts out off camera because I'm holding the camera and doing this at the same time, so I'll go ahead and get the bottom bolt off and we'll proceed. Now we're going to remove the self-propelled cable so we can pivot the transmission. Sometimes they're simple, sometimes they're hard, but you just pull in like this and then until you fish this out of this hole back here. Now please remember where these go. If you're doing this as a rookie, a first timer, please take pictures. I urge you to do so. That way you're not so frustrated when you go to put this back together. Now we're going to flip this mower up because I'm going to use the drill and the Robertson bit. The Robertson, that bit is a size 2 square bit. And we got 3 of these bolts to take out. I've already started one of them. And these are going to get a little tricky, so I may have to do this off camera. Okay, the old belt's out. Now we're going to be putting the new one in. Just going to reach over here. Yeah, I know that table saw is a catch-all for junk. Just going to take that out of the pack. Now when you put this on, you note the position of your belt guard. This tab goes on the left side because it also it's the holder for the cable. When you put this belt in, you're supposed to have one part of the belt going through here and then the other part comes through here going back to the motor. So it would look something like this when I have this on here. which I will show you in just a second. So that's how it will look once we get it on there. And then I'll show you guys how to get it around the pulley and stuff. So here we go. Alright, so what I did here first is I put the belt through here, and then I put it around the back pulley. Now I'm going to reach for my guard. One more reminder. This part where my thumb is goes on the left side of the mower so it can hold the cable. Because on this transmission, when you engage the personal pace, this pulls back, puts tension on this belt, and it drives it from the front pulley. And that's how this self-propel system works. So without further ado, I'm going to start the bolts for this cover, and I'll be back. Now I've got my belt routed around my transmission properly. Just checking in the back to make sure it's around the pulley. This part going to the motor goes through the small hole, and the part coming to the transmission goes through this big slot. Anyway, we're going to start working underneath. Starting with this blade adapter pulley, which we're going to put on here in just a second. Yeah, make sure this belt's around the shaft. Now there is a spacer type washer inside of here that you have to make sure is in the proper oriented position. You fill around, make sure your keyway's in the right spot, as well as on the shaft. We'll get it around until it lines up. Now we're going to put this belt on this pulley before we push it all the way up. Now when I was in here, I did find out this self-propelled cable was out of adjustment to begin with, as well as this belt, the original belt being garbage. We're going to find our self-propelled cable and slip it in the hole. And then, but not to fear, I'm going to show you guys how to adjust this Propel cable too. You just slip it, the cable. There's a little hole that I'm getting ready to slide this into. Just get my fat fingers back there. I'm also going to put the blade adapter bolt back, the blade bolt back on. That way it holds this pulley in place while I adjust the self-propel cable. All I need to do is just hand tighten this just to hold this on. I'm not tightening this back all the way up. I just need to hold this on for just a second. Get the mower in a good spot. Now you will see that this personal pace isn't putting enough tension on this belt. At least I don't feel that it is. Wish I had somebody here to hold this down for me. Still got plenty of slack in it, but not to fear. I'm going to show you this adjustment. This is a knob style screw. You just loosen this up going back towards the operator's position. And then this accordion tube, this is our personal pace cable. You just slide this down till it's got some tension on it. And you go to tighten this knob up again. This can be tricky. And I know on a lot of other Toros and some and a lot of lawn boys now, a lot of the modern ones, they have this. Because Toro also makes lawn boy. Now we're going to see how much tension we have. And don't fear, if you need to adjust it again, you can. Just back the knob back out. So I've done this probably 3 or 4 times today. Trying to film everything and do this. But anyway, I am on now, so and make sure I like the tension. I like the tension that's on this belt, and we're going to proceed to put the blade back on. Now before we put the blade on, I'm going to start putting the belt guard on. This metal bracket, this metal cover, you just slide it on, make sure your belt's oriented, staying in the cover. Always make sure the holes line up, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. Let me get this other part of the belt guard. Shake the screws out of here. Now when you put this on here, these tabs where the screws go through are supposed to be all the way up top. And then when you, like if the mower was sitting flat, this lip up here would be vertical. So we just slide it on like this. I'll show you how to line the bolts up. Okay, I've got the bolts started in. Now sometimes the motor might move because remember that these bolts that hold these belt guards on, they are also the engine mount bolts, or two of the engine mount bolts for this motor. So without further ado, here we go. Now when you are putting these in too, you got to make sure these are tight, or else this motor will vibrate. We'll find the bottom one, do the same thing. Yeah, I wish I did have my drill extension. I know you guys are asking about it, but I did tell you guys that I couldn't find it before I was doing this project. Just gonna hit this bolt one more time, make sure it's tight. Then I'm gonna switch from this 13mm socket back to my 5/8 socket. Now when I do my sockets, when I know I'm gonna be using my sockets, I just put it back in the hole, but I kind of tilt it up like I did my 5/8 there. I'm going to locate this adapter bolt. Once I get this on, just hold on for a second. Okay, now they call this part the kicker, which helps with Toro's super recycling system. It's got these two arms that help to bring the grass back in so it can be chopped a few extra times before it's bagged or discharged or mulched. That's the blade bolt. And I decided to go into the corner and pick out this brand new Toro Super Recycler blade I had laying around. Now to orient this blade properly, you got to make sure the lift side is facing down when it's on the mower. So when it's on this mower, this angle would be facing down this way. I've known people to put these on upside down, and it just makes things horrible, but we're going to go ahead and start putting this on. Now I'm going to slide the middle hole of this blade onto this blade bolt. Middle hole. Make sure she lines up. And we'll get her started in. This also has to be tight too, because you don't want this vibrating and stripping out the shaft. You make sure this kicker is tight around your adapter. We'll start it by hand. I try to also make sure that these are straight as possible. And on most any mower, what I'll do, I already have my wrench in the tightening position. I'll just get on the bolt, put my shoe in there so it doesn't turn the crank. As normally I have success with this. You just got to torque her down pretty good as you can. Or go by the factory torque specs, which I do not have for this mower. But anyway, we've gotten to this point, and there's a few more things we need to do before we can hose this mower down and get her ready for the market. Okay, so I got this thing all soaped up, ready to roll. Checked out all the mechanics and made sure everything was good. My power washer crapped on me, so we're just going to spray this down and wet it the best way we can, get all this soap out of here. I did put a little bit of degreaser on this bag so that it would clean any stains. This bag isn't as bad as the bag that it came with. The bag that this came with is on my all-wheel drive Toro. That has become my personal mower for at least the next few months until I decide to get rid of it. So I am going to sell that all-wheel drive, but I'm not doing that just yet. We're going to put a paste type wax on this mower here in a little bit once I get all this cleaned up and dried off. Trying to make sure I get all this soap out of the bag. Because when you go to sell a used mower or most anything, try to make sure it's all about presentation. So try to make sure that your stuff is clean as you can possibly get it, looking as nice as you can get it, and working properly. So I'll get back on here when I get ready to wax this. Alright, I got my turtle wax on this damp cloth. I know what you guys probably think, you guys who detail cars, but this is not a vehicle, so this is what we're using. It's just a mower. I just want it to look nice. And yeah, I'm going to wipe the excess off when we get around to it, after I get all this waxed. It's all about the presentation, guys. I myself would probably buy a cleaner looking mower before I'd buy a dirty mower. I'm sure there's some people who don't care, but I kinda do. Let me get a little bit more of this off. Just gonna use this on the rest of the mower up front, especially. This thing was already looking good, but we just had to make it look a little bit better. It's got the Bears Lawn and Garden sticker. In case you guys are from around here, that's North Canton, Ohio. It's where Bears is. Just trying to make sure all this plastic looks shiny. It's all about the presentation. I'll shine this filter box up too, but just be careful. Trying to make it look as new as you can. So I color coded my rags here. I put the wax on with the blue rag, but I'll wipe it off with the green rag, and I probably can't use this rag. Probably go ahead and get another rag. Just pick whatever comes out of the box. We got another green one. So they tell you to wipe the excess off. It's got to look shiny. Just make sure it doesn't look like it has a bunch of wax over it that was a half-done job. So I'll get back on here when we get all this excess wiped off, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. I think this mower's pretty good and ready for the market again. Just want to recap everything. We replaced the drive belt, and I put a new blade on here. Also fixed this cover. Got a bolt off of another mower that fit it. As far as the oil, I didn't change it because it looked pretty good. Overall, this is a good mower. I did have to adjust the self-propel cable. I found a nicer bag for it. As like I said, the bag that was on here when I got it, it was pretty nasty. But I used it for my all-wheel drive Toro. Anyway, please stay for the outro. You're going to see the pictures we take, and you're going to see the number rundown, or some of the number rundown on it, and the projected goal, possibly. But anyway, I thank you for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, please do so. And I will be posting more videos hopefully here soon. So stay tuned.